This episode of The Big Picture is presented by Starbucks.
The unofficial drink of summer is here, and it's just as good as I remembered.
Starbucks Summer Berry Refresher is everything you'd want from a summer beverage.
A blend of berry notes shaken with ice and poured over a layer of new raspberry-flavored pearls. And personally, my favorite refresher is the Summer Berry Lemonade. It just tastes like summer in a cup and adds a whole other level of fresh flavors.
We are on the brink of a major heat wave here in Los Angeles, and nothing would be more refreshing than a Starbucks Summer Berry Lemonade Refresher. Available for a limited time only, your Summer Berry Refresher is ready at Starbucks. I'm Sean Fennessy.
I'm Amanda Dobbins.
And this is The Big Picture, a conversation show about dinosaurs. Later in this episode, I'll be joined by not a dinosaur, Eva Victor, first-time writer-director whose Sundance Prize-winning film Sorry Baby is one of the most exciting debuts of the year. Eva is straight up one of my favorite guests in the history of this podcast. Smart, funny, special thinker. Hope you'll stick around for our conversation. Their movie is nothing like the movie we're going to talk about today, which is Jurassic World Rebirth. But before we get to that movie, CR is here.
Hey, man, what kind of prison can hold a man like me?
We have just returned from an 8 a.m. screening of Jurassic World Rebirth, and we went to that screening for two reasons. The first reason is not invited to a screening by the studio.
Yeah.
I don't know why. What the hell, Universal? I guess they don't want us to see Jurassic World, but it worked out well because this gave us an opportunity to see on the big screen the trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, the teaser trailer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
Amanda, I'll start with you. What did you think of that teaser trailer?
It did leak yesterday.
It did.
I did not watch it. I was saving it for my Dolby experience.
Did you read Deadline's description of the
No,
trailer?
of course not. No,
Yeah.
I'm with
You went in
on this.
clean.
I went in clean.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was also like, I am getting up. I got up at my normal time actually, but I am abdicating all childcare responsibility this morning so I can go see it on the biggest screen possible, as Christopher Nolan intended.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I saw it. I would say, so the screening started at 8. I wanted to say that it aired at like 8:34-ish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, they did something very interesting.
We were very nervous because I got there right at the dot, 8 o'clock, because I am known historically to arrive late, to miss trailers, and then also miss parts of the movie. But I got there on time. We watched a shitload of trailers.
Lots of trailers.
Lots of trailers. And and you at one point were like, yep, I think this is the one. And then I think it was the trailer for Edgar Wright's Running Man.
Mhm.
Yes.
Shout out Glenn Powell, looked good to me. And they kept going. And then there was like the Dolby, part 2 of the Dolby, hey, you're in Dolby.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the Nicole Kidman
Mhm.
speech. And
We
Sean
were getting nervous.
We're like,
Heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah. Did we show up here? Also, when did they, during the Heartbreak Feels Good in a Place Like This, when did they edit in A Star Is Born?
I think it's been there.
I know that
this is
they've
the
been
new
changing
one.
the
This
references.
is the second one.
I know that.
Okay.
And why are you looking at me like
I'm
that?
just waiting to get to the Odyssey.
Okay. Well, so was I. Also, sort of on theme.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you know that's what the Odyssey is about. And so
I haven't actually read it. So.
Well, they dropped the lights.
They dropped the lights.
They dropped
and we
the lights
were really nervous.
And then the green screen hit.
And we were extremely relieved.
Yes. So
Looks good. It looks really good.
Okay.
That shot of them.
that was a lot of build up for it looks
Oh,
good.
sorry, excuse me. The horses and the horses on the beach and the Trojan horse, it's very large film that he uses.
Yes.
And I see why.
IMAX cameras, 65 millimeter.
Huge moment for Bernthal.
Think that was Christian Bale doing the VO in the beginning, or is
It's
that
John
Pattinson?
Leguizamo.
Is it?
Oh.
It's John. There are two voices that we hear. The first is, I'm almost certain, John Leguizamo,
Okay.
giving this sort of brief narration
We
about.
have the transcript here, so
Yeah.
Chris, read it.
Darkness, Zeus's law smashed to pieces.
Yeah.
A kingdom without a king since my master died.
Okay.
Now, there's a second voice that we hear that may be Robert Pattinson.
Okay.
Okay.
Unclear. Before we cut to Tom Holland's teary-eyed face.
Yeah.
He's playing Telemachus in this film.
Yeah.
Odysseus' son. And who is he talking to?
JB.
But one John Bernthal.
Yeah.
Wayne.
And he honestly is waning. He is in an epic tragedy of Wayne.
You know what I got from this moment? A little bit? A little Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah.
Little,
Okay.
Like even Tom Holland's doing an American accent, Bernthal's just doing Bernthal
Yes.
in a beautiful, moving way.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised to see, you take it out of its classical Western roots of like, okay, so they're going to do English accents or something like that. But I guess they've all agreed nondescript American accents for
Okay,
this.
just to align with Damon.
I guess.
So Damon doesn't have to do the accent
I
work?
assume that was why they made that decision because
Yeah.
we have heard him do accents before. Not his strength.
Unless it's Boston.
Historically, Boston, he's wonderful at.
Yes.
Not as much an accent,
What
more
if
like
it's
an inner self coming out.
He was good. His accent in Stillwater was good.
Sure, yeah.
it was
You
okay.
are the world's number one
That's-
Stillwater defender.
Because he goes to the Marseille Stadium. It's sick.
And they do go swimming. It looks beautiful.
And you
yeah.
love Camille Cotin, right? That's one of your gals.
Yeah.
We don't see Matt Damon speak in this movie. We see him from behind as he prepares to sort of march to battle. The production design, the staging is classical,
And we see him floating.
we do see him floating on a raft of wood in the deep sea, awaiting his fate. I thought we were going to get maybe like a minute of is it Charybdis? The sea creature.
The six-headed monster.
Yeah, but we don't get any of that.
That's
He built that.
I don't know which one is Scylla and which one is Charybdis. You know what I was thinking about the other day when you were just yelling about how he is honoring UNESCO World Sites. He is honoring them, and that is just still one of the funniest things that happened on a podcast. That should be like the final tagline of this teaser.
I just want to tell the listeners, it's interesting that Sean's commenting on this at all because he got up and turned his back on the screen in solidarity with James Cameron, who was called Christopher Nolan a moral coward for not showing the bombing of Hiroshima in Oppenheimer.
Boy.
And I thought that was really cool of you, man. It's not often that people really stand on business in this industry. And you did it.
Big Jim versus Chris is a showdown for the ages, I must say.
It's great.
Two titans
And
going
that would
toe to
be the end
toe.
of
They've
this
been
pod.
angling for it in their own way. They each want to carry the mantle.
He was like,
of
that's a
film
pretty
savior.
good movie, but he's a pussy.
I mean, Big Jim feels Chris on his heels. That's
Yeah.
what's going on.
Yeah.
He's obviously going for his spot right now, and Big Jim's got a movie coming out in 6 months, so he's got to start making waves again. Didn't agree with his take. Thought it was very wrong-headed, to be honest with you, but it's his right to have
Also,
it.
James Cameron being like, now I must correct the cinematic
Yeah,
record by
I don't know
showing
if
this for 3
I'm
hours.
not sure if that's what I want from Big Jim.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's what you said after you saw 12 Years a Slave, right? You said, I need to correct the cinematic record, respond to this film, which I thought was brave. I'm excited about this movie, obviously. It comes out
Odyssey,
1 year from
you
today.
mean.
Or 1 year from this
So
month.
it just feels like such an event.
Yeah.
Just
Totally.
They Universal had a bunch of screeners, trailers before the Jurassic World, and they had Wicked, they had a bunch of stuff, but it's just like,
Yeah.
hang on, we'll be there for you in a year.
Yes. No one creates this sense of anticipation quite like Nolan too. And
At
so,
this point in time,
he's been doing this
It is
particular
pretty amazing
strategy.
that he is also creating this level of anticipation for an adaptation of Homer's Odyssey, which they are like, it's not your helicopter movie, but the Odyssey. It is just
Thunder.
there. It is.
There wasn't not helicopters.
That's
in
true.
it.
That's true.
He has not denied the existence of
That is true,
helicopters
but
in this world.
It did look like they were going for an ancient Greek feel, like Bernthal and Tom Holland were wearing like toga-esque qualities, draping, as opposed to the more tailored clothes that you and I wear today.
You think they should have been dressed like they were in Inception? Or like,
Well, no, I'm just saying, I'm reading the text. That's what we do here on the big picture. It does seem, like they're going for pre-electricity.
I believe that will be the case. But
I'll be dropping an 1.5 hour long breakdown of the teaser where I freeze frames and say, this could be a shadow of a chopper blade. This also could be a shadow of a chopper blade.
Do you think we'll see in the moments immediately after Odysseus is floating on the water, Roy Scheider's revived corpse flying in on a helicopter to save him and take him away? Well, we're all very excited about that. Shall we talk now about there have been a couple of other trailers.
Yeah.
I'll just say, watch the sentimental value trailer, and I was like, I'm ready to be moved
No, I
deeply.
didn't watch it. I just responded to the email, when can I see this?
I don't need a
trailer. I just want to go.
Yeah. November 7th is the same day that Sentimental Value is coming out, as is The Running Man. You mentioned that briefly. Same thing we saw in April at CinemaCon.
Yeah.
The action looks incredible. I hope that movie is a lot of fun. We shall see. Let's talk about Jurassic World Rebirth. So we just walked out of the movie. No prep.
Yeah.
No discussion. No planning. You are a sequencing engineer at this screening. There were some real heads at this screening.
Yeah.
I would say it was half full at 8 a.m. We met some lovely people.
Yes, we did.
We met
Shout out Alyssa.
Alyssa, a night shift nurse who was showing up because this is the only time she could see it. I ran into a guy who was like, I got an 11 a.m. Zoom. This was the only time I could see this movie today.
Yeah.
So appreciate them. I wish I didn't spend my morning this way, but we'll talk about that. This movie is the 7th film in the Jurassic series. It's the 4th film in the non-Spielberg era of this series, although he is still a producer on all the Jurassic
is still
movies.
like the first thing, yeah.
Yeah, it is the return of David Koepp, the screenwriter who wrote the first 2 Jurassic movies. It is directed by Gareth Edwards, a filmmaker who I think at least Chris and I don't know if I know your opinion about him, have a lot of admiration for, but also a lot of notes for. That will continue apace in this
Gilroy
podcast.
did as well. Yeah.
Tony Gilroy, who of course worked as well on Rogue One, a film that Gareth Edwards started. This movie has a lot of stars in it. Scarlett Johansson, Mahershala Ali, Jonathan Bailey, Rupert Friend. Amanda, what did you think of Jurassic World Rebirth?
I think you guys both need to learn how to have fun again.
What's wrong with me?
Well, you were just a little muted, during you weren't pumping your fist at any point. So I was a little nervous. And I know you're not wearing your lanyard. And you tried to leave it behind in the theater.
What will you do with that long term? Do you think you'll put that in your will?
Knox is really into lanyards right now. My mom went to...
But he's not into dinosaurs yet.
No, he is apparently. I learned the other day that he knows what a Tyrannosaurus Rex is. I didn't know that.
Now it's then now he's ready.
Have you had to do one of his?
He's ready for the gift I have for him.
Have you had to do one of those dinosaur eggs with him?
I have, yes.
Yeah. Have you seen these? Where it's like the bath bomb, but it's a dinosaur egg, and then a tiny plastic dinosaur comes out.
You can chip it out. Yeah.
Yeah. We're big into that. But yeah, he also likes lanyards. He wears my CinemaCon lanyard around a lot.
Those are really safe for a 3-year-old.
And also my mom's lanyard from the Masters that she gave him. So anyway, I had fun, It is like totally a recreation of the first Jurassic Park, like scene for scene. But listen, when people who have maybe lost their connection to wonder find themselves in a field looking at herbivore giant dinosaurs and the theme song is playing, like I am still moved by that. I don't care. And I think that you should open your heart and learn to have fun.
Chris, what do you think of Jurassic World?
2 movies in this movie.
Yeah.
I kind of enjoyed both of those 2 movies until the 2 movies became united.
Okay.
And that was when the movie kind of ran a little bit out of gas. I think it looks awesome.
Incredible.
Shot on film, shot by Ridley Scott's frequent collaborator, John Matheson.
I turned to you about 30 minutes in, and I was like,
"This is shot on film.
It looks beautiful.
It really does."
Yeah.
And also, like, shot in real places. They closed down the Brooklyn Bridge Park in New York for just like a random scene with a brontosaurus. By the way, the brontosaurus is kept in like the Cobble Hill keeping pen, which like Cobble Hill. That's
Can I just add? Did you wind up getting that latte?
Of course I did. I'm sorry. I came to work.
I love it. I thought this was 2 movies. There's one movie where my favorite use of the Jurassic Park moving theme song ever, like the not glorious, but the sort of, this is the emo part, while Scarlett Johansson describes a former colleague dying in a car bomb in Yemen because she is a mercenary. She's a lioness, I guess.
It literally turned into lioness for 5 minutes.
Yeah, and I was like, you have my attention.
That is not the essence of this movie at all.
Anyway, there's like a whole one plot, one movie is a search and basically
search
smash
and retrieval
grab of trying to get dinosaur DNA to cure heart disease, run by Big Pharma. Then 40 minutes into the movie, we just meet a family that is inexplicably boating from Barbados to
Cape
Town, South Africa, which they have done many times, even though a lot of that involves sailing through a DMZ, dinosaur militarized zone.
Right. And could you just remind us geopolitically and I guess like topographically, geographically, like what belongs to the humans and what belongs to the dinosaurs
is actually,
when we're starting this podcast?
I'm really glad you said this.
Thank you so much.
This is about accountability. The last time we did one of our, kind of now patented deep dives into the lore and narratives of these films, Sean and I went across the Prattverse and we talked about the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and Jurassic World Dominion, right? and I realized I'd never seen Dominion. So I watched the extended cut last night.
Did you?
Yeah, and there's like an extensive amount of stuff that I just did not know.
Okay.
That was the most recent film.
Yes.
In fact, we did an episode about it on this show, but it was Brian Curtis and I who talked about it. I don't know where either of you were, candidly.
think I had maybe had a child recently. And
You did, yeah. You had a ward.
Anyway,
all right, so what's up? What's going on?
So I think when I had last checked in,
Yeah.
I thought they were like, these guys get to keep Costa Rica, and that's it. There's been a lot of expansion and contraction on the part of the dinosaurs into the real world since I checked in. So Dominion, right?
Dominion's the final film.
Really gets into them being, out in the world, terrorizing people at drive-ins, etc.
How do they get off? Well, I guess Costa Rica is attached.
Well, they
to
get
other
off the
parts of
island in
land.
Fallen Kingdom, the previous film.
Okay.
That's the
How?
J. Bayona film. They basically like bring them over to raffle them off to wealthy people. There's like an auctioneering
James
James
finale.
Cromwell
Okay.
and Rafe Spall.
Yeah. So corporations.
Yes.
Yeah. money.
Corporations consistently the villains of this movie.
Not against that.
Sure, it's a good idea. It was a good idea 35 years ago
You
when
know what?
Michael Crichton had it. I think that this movie is coming very quickly on the heels of Dominion, which I think was roundly disliked and made a lot of money, but was not necessarily
see the
perceived as,
extended cut,
as a
though?
success. I did not. Was it great?
So, so in the end, they're put in zoos, and they can have the equator. That's where the Dominions-
they are still around though. There's still
Yeah.
dinosaurs like by train tracks in Brooklyn, like hanging out at drive-ins,
Right.
but they are largely on the equatorial band where the oxygen is rich
Right.
and the vegetation is clean.
Okay.
That was the explanation. There are some remaining dinosaurs on the mainland, but those are, it
Yeah.
seems like, are largely herbivores
Including
and are
Cobble
not
Hill,
dangerous.
where
Yes,
they're just
including
taking up
Cobble
a
Hill.
tremendous amount of
And they're
expensive
dying
real
out.
I
estate.
think they said there's
Yeah.
an Allosaurus that we see, or a Brontosaurus that we see very briefly.
Well, you're a NIMBY,
Yeah.
huh? For dinosaurs.
Well,
Yeah.
I just like
Yeah.
I guess if I
Did
had
you
to
vote
think about
Cuomo?
it, yes. But
What's Cuomo's take on dinosaurs?
I'm
Get
sort
them
of
out?
like just the dinosaur alone would take up at this point in Cobble Hill like
Oh yeah,
$50 to $70 million,
Mhm.
just like its mass
In terms of real estate.
Yeah, real
Yeah.
estate. So once again, it's only a corporation that is evil could afford that.
Do you feel like Michelle Williams was like, God damn it, I was going to build there?
She's Borum Hill.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
In this film, Rupert Friend plays, I guess, one of the head of this mission to retrieve this
He works for
dinosaur
InGen,
DNA.
I think.
InGen, yes.
Right?
Well,
whatever
little
thing
unclear.
Yeah.
It feels like a spin-off company from InGen, which is the original company. The film actually opens with a flashback 17 years in the past where we see this research facility that is mutating and mixing a kind of island of Dr. Moreau for dinosaurs that InGen has been working on to get people more excited about their dinosaur parks, which consistently turn into like nightmare zones of murdered tourists.
Yep.
And if you've ever seen Jurassic World, like how could there ever be another park?
I know, but you saying this, like you during the Wicked trailer turned to me and gave like a quite beautiful and thoughtful recap of the profound artistic experience you had recently at Universal Studios seeing a Glinda performance. Like you actually like theme parks and you understand how when carried out correctly, they can communicate with people.
This theme park is a murder house. This is a den
You
of
wouldn't go to Universal
slaughter.
if you died every time.
This is not. The pterodactyls are picking people up in the middle of the theme park and dragging them away to their death.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, good. They don't keep opening the park. They opened it once and then they opened it again. Right?
But then InGen is like, we got to make more dinosaurs that are even crazier
I think
and
they're
more dangerous.
more interested in the pharmacological and military permutations of dinosaur DNA than they are in let's have more dinosaurs.
Well, that's the case, at least for the Rupert Friend character in this movie. So he recruits Scarlett Johansson, a mercenary who's famed for her work in retrieval, and she makes contact with a man named Duncan
Kincaid,
who is a shipboat captain and also a mercenary.
Former.
I think Duncan Kincaid is the name of a character in one of my favorite, detective series.
There's
Deborah
a lot
Crowley
of
series.
references to.
We'll get to another one. There's
sure.
another
Yes.
significant one, which is.
But did you catch
Loomis.
Dr.
Yeah,
Loomis? Yes.
recommended Zora, who is Scarlett Johansson's character, to Rupert Friend? Do you hear what he said?
What did he say?
I feel like he's like, Pierre Pasolini recommended you to me.
Oh, he said Paolo Pasolini.
Paolo Pasolini, yeah.
So you think that was a filmic reference to
I
the
think
Gospel according to St. Matthew? It could be.
A lot of references in this movie.
There were a lot of references. The character who comes along with them is played by Jonathan Bailey. Dr. Loomis, who is a paleontologist of some renown, I suppose, and is able to identify what these different dinosaurs look like. They need DNA from 3 different dinosaurs.
Right.
A pterodon in the sky, the largest one, a mosasaurus, which is an underwater dinosaur, and a titanosaurus, which is a herbivore of some kind of large kind of brontosaurus
Land,
type.
earth, and sea.
Land, earth, and sea. And so they're like, we got to go to Suriname, and then we got to pick up Duncan Kincaid, and we got to listen to Primal Scream while we're there.
Well,
and
he's got a boat, so that's why they need him.
Yep.
You got to have a guy with a boat.
And he has a guy named Atwater who might be South African, who's also a merc. And I know there a couple other cool people on the boat.
And the gang gets all together, and they're like, let's go get some dino blood.
This is minute 40, right?
Minute 40, roughly.
Yeah.
And at that time, that's when that other family that Chris is
Hard
referring
cut to family sailing across the Atlantic that we haven't met yet.
Just like indefensibly stupid screenwriting. Like that whole plot is complete garbage. Like nonsense. Could have cut the entire thing out of the movie.
That's not good. Like if it was about a family sailing.
It's just the most like we got to get kids in danger in this movie.
Garcia Rolfo, who's the Lincoln lawyer in the Netflix show.
Yes. And the performances are fine. Those kids are good. Like the young girl especially, I thought her performance was really good considering she was acting opposite a tennis ball. But that whole
who is a small little dinosaur she befriends name's Dolores.
Dolores, yes.
Who
David
likes
Iacono from Summer I Turned Pretty is in this.
Your favorite show?
Well,
were you mad at this from a screenwriting perspective or a parent screenwriting perspective? You did turn to me and you were like, this is irresponsible.
That's what Mahershala Ali's character says.
I know, and they put that scene in the movie to kind of like yada yada where the guy gets to say, there are 50,000 boats in these waters. It's like, there are not 50,000 boats in the waters next to the fucking Mosasaurus. I'm not an idiot. You can't treat me like an idiot in a movie like this. The great thing about Jurassic Park is it's an absurd premise, but it very carefully makes you understand its own logic and you go along with it. The entire time I was watching this movie, I was like, this is not well thought out at all.
Here's my counter to you. This was actually what I thought Final Reckoning was going to be, which is a series of really well-planned sequences, that maybe don't actually come together in a story. But I understand you're like, it's insulting my intelligence. Why are they? This is clearly, we need to have a kid aspect. We need to have a Baby Yoda dinosaur or whatever. Like, it's obviously like that's what the deal is. But at the same time, like, I think Edwards understands how to stage these things in a way that's probably like a pretty good JV Spielberg at this point. Like where, like there's we can get into the individual like encounters with dinosaurs if you want to, but I thought there was one where Xavier, who is the teenage girl's boyfriend who has come along on this transatlantic voyage, is taking a piss. And it's like up on his face, like he's just trying to take a leak. And 2 raptors basically zero in on him. And then the pterodactyl thing comes and grabs the raptors. But the entire time, it's just on this kid's face with all this stuff happening in the background.
And he can hear it, and he gets like splashed by some sort of dinosaur liquid.
Saliva, yeah.
So I just think
and it's like,
it's inventive from
moment. As
sequence to
soon as
sequence.
the raptors show up, Chris was just like, oh no, and then I understand your point, which is we have seen all this before and it doesn't make any sense. But I agree with Chris that it is a really well executed version of what we've done. The sequences are good. It looks good.
It's really not, Amanda. It's not a really good version of this kind of a movie. Like, it's just not. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there have been 7 of these now. It's fine. Like, I think Gareth Edwards is really talented.
Don't you think it's better than the Jurassic Worlds?
I absolutely do.
I think the original Jurassic World certainly is at least in neck and neck with this. Like, there was at least like new shape toward the plotting of that movie. This is literally just a remake, like you said, of the first film, in part because it's written by David Koepp, where they're kind of like forcing aspects of this story as hard as they can to give you that exact feeling. There's literally a scene in the plains where they're watching a herbivore and they're hitting the theme hard and they're having characters look up in wonder and touch them gently.
Yeah.
Like, it is the same.
No,
like,
I know. I mean, there's like, instead of the kitchen, it's the convenience store.
Yeah,
like but like,
there's a fine line between homage and jerking me off. You know what I mean? And this is like really on the line of jerking me off.
There's a larger line. Just like, personally.
That's why I think
I found the
cap tips to other franchises and other movies more enjoyable than the Jurassic Park rerun stuff. So, you know, there's references to Indiana Jones, to Aliens, to Jaws. And I actually found like all that stuff way more enjoyable than like, oh, Brontosaurus is necking, you know, like it was sweet. But like, you know, I think that the problem is that seeing Jurassic Park the first time when you're a kid, whenever you've seen it, like you could see it 2 years ago and have the same reaction. The first time you see the dinosaurs, you're having the reaction of the people in the park the first time they're seeing dinosaurs, and this thing that they never thought would happen is happening. And as a kid, you're obsessed with dinosaurs, but you're like, I'll never actually know what these things look or feel or move like. And this first movie, Jurassic Park, is the closest thing we ever got to that feeling. And ever since then, you know, no matter what technological leaps they make, it's still going to be like, great, brontosauruses. You know, like I kind of feel like it's a shame. It's a drug, and you get used to the drug after a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you saw the last two Jurassic World movies, so because of that, you're like a little bit more open minded to this. But I'm like, we just did this 3 years ago.
I did this last night.
Yeah, but I didn't like them, and I disagree. For me, a watchable version of original Jurassic Park is more enjoyable than like a boring Chris Pratt. Like, I understand Blue or whatever, and he's like friends with the raptor, and then like Bryce Dallas Howard is there, and she's got like,
he's got a little clicker.
Yeah, and she has like save the island or something. Like, I don't know. I don't care about those people.
Okay.
Did you care about Zora?
I don't care about those performances.
You're dying on Rebirth Island? This is a weird one for you.
I'm not dying
This
on
is
it.
a weird
I'm
one.
just like, I didn't have a bad time.
Yeah.
You know?
It looks really good. It's just like every Gareth Edwards movie. It's just the plotting and the story is just real janky.
You blame
and
him,
you
or
never
you blame
buy
the script, or you blame Universal being like, we gotta have a family in this.
I said this to I mentioned this when we were watching the movie. There's a cool sequence where they're moving through the jungle. And again, I agree that there are a lot of cool sequences, but there's a cool sequence where they're moving through the jungle and Jonathan Bailey kind of takes over the movie a little bit, and he starts talking about kind of the arc of time in science and how we're just like a blip essentially in the history of this planet, and dinosaurs have ruled for much longer than we will ever live on this planet. And it's classic David Koepp, where he's letting someone monologue because other characters are asking questions that you would never ask in real life. You know, there's a part where Rupert Friend is like, well, what do you mean by that? Which no one would ever say when a scientist starts talking. But Jonathan Bailey is a really good performer, and that's really well-written stuff. So when you're watching that, you're like, this is kind of entertaining, and it feels like it's raising the stakes, but it's totally manufactured, and it's totally transparent. So something that feels deep or thematic is just something that we already learned in 1993 when we saw the first film. There's literally nothing new idea-wise here.
I think that the for as much as you can celebrate like the visual achievements of the first one, it also had a very coherent kind of like, what if we don't, we can do something, but that doesn't mean we should.
Right.
And more and more as the films went on, I think it lost like any kind of like, what is this movie trying to say? Not that it has to say something, but good storytelling is grounded in an idea that matters whether it's dinosaurs or not, right?
I think it's a question of what you ultimately want from the movies. Like you're saying you want to have that warm feeling of the wonder of a dinosaur sequence, right?
Right. Or like be stressed out, because even though I have literally like seen, like I have the design of the kitchen sequence from the original Jurassic Park like memorized, and I like reference it regularly when my sons figure out how to open a new door, you know? I have it memorized, but I was still stressed out in this recreation, which is in a convenience store instead of a thing. And it is like the small child has to hide somewhere, and they're all like literally hiding behind as like you could like schematically, like shot for shot. Put it on one, but like I don't care. It's like I was still stressed out.
I had a couple more questions for you.
Yeah,
we're just doing free fire, right?
Yeah, let's keep going.
How long do you think you could survive on a pure licorice diet?
Well, it's been almost 43 years now. So
there's a child. A child in this movie seems to only eat licorice, both on the boat and on the island, and then befriends another dinosaur. Gets through her trauma, honestly. A lot of trauma for everybody in this movie. Everybody's working through something.
Trauma in a 21st century movie?
Yeah, man.
As a storytelling device?
I just saw Drop the other night.
Yeah.
And I was like, God damn it. This is like a fun movie with like this ridiculous like bookend plot on it. But Mahershala Ali, lost child, maybe, but it's never explicitly said so.
Well,
or
he split up.
Yeah.
No, I think it's explicitly that they
lost it. Yeah.
They lost a child and it was like too painful. They reminded each other of the child. So they split up. And then he takes the picture of the child who, I assume that was like a baby picture of Mahershala Ali. It looks
just
so much like him.
Yeah.
But then I was thinking through like, what's the ask? Like, who's being like, hey, man, do you mind if we have a baby photo that we can then print out? I think that would fuck me up a little bit.
Yeah, because we only have 90 seconds of conversation between you and ScarJo to establish your entire emotional register.
Yeah. I thought it was 2 minutes, and I have to say, I thought this is one of the better ScarJo performances I've seen in some time. So that's where I am.
What did you think of Scarlett Johansson in this film?
Well, I came into it knowing that she really wanted to make a Jurassic Park movie that she had long desired to do one. The schedules never worked out. She basically begged to do this movie. And I thought she acquitted herself pretty well. I think one of her best performances is a little bit of a reach, but
I said in a while.
Sure. Okay. I think
I liked it. I didn't mind it.
She looks great. She does not have a lot of dialogue
to me.
No. She isn't the first person you'd likely go to for this job, would be my guess.
She seemed in control. She knew that she needed Jonathan Bailey to hook her into those the carabiners on either side of the ship so she wouldn't fall over after she shot the water dinosaur.
That was some of the greatest Chekhov's carabiner hooks I've ever seen in my life when she flips over the edge. Yeah, she was okay. What'd you think?
I thought she was good, but the character was silly.
Yeah.
Same
for Mahershala.
So I wonder whether or not you guys had the same sensation I did, where it's like, their boating and their capsizing and their rescue and then their kind of adventure through the jungle, the family I'm talking about, versus did you have a preference of which movie you liked more, the mercenary science story or the family survival story?
It's pretty easily the mercenary stuff for me, but
same.
I was kind of hoping that they would take it somewhere a little further beyond, what was explained to us in the original film about the potential scientific power of dinosaur DNA.
Disease,
yeah. I mean, that was just explored a long time ago.
There's a very funny moment where they're talking about whether or not they're going to sell the dinosaur DNA to make tens of millions of dollars or make it open source so that everybody can get it. And Scarlett Johansson's like, who should we give it to? And I was like, please just say Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Dinosaur DNA.
Yeah. It's just a good example of trying to have it both ways. It's like, this movie's being put out by a massive corporation and it's pretty dumb and they just want everybody to just eat their popcorn and shut up and like it over the holiday weekend. This is not. So the idea of suggesting that there would ever be a moment in time where a pharmaceutical company would not allow this precious information that they have acquired.
Spoiler alert. Are we spoiling things? Can we hit the spoiler?
I mean, it's not necessary. I think it's clear who's going to die in this movie
it
from
is.
the moment the movie
was
starts.
my biggest complaint.
Well, actually, I got to tell you, one guy made it who I thought was definitely destined for death. So,
are you referring to Xavier?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
That's the other thing.
As soon as he showed up, I was like, oh.
That's the other thing is this movie has no guts. It doesn't kill anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
That's my problem.
I'm so mad.
It's really lame, man. This movie could have been a lot better because Gareth Edwards knows how to shoot a movie. It's just he keeps taking on movies with terrible scripts.
The Mahershala fake death was silly.
Yeah.
Awful.
Yeah.
It's just super lame. And
I was also like,
we didn't want him to die.
Yeah.
But don't put him in that position.
But Mahershala Ali's not actually dying. You don't actually have a relationship to Duncan Kincaid. Make me feel something, for fuck's sake. Have real stakes instead of just killing the French captain who falls asleep, who's the most obvious, we've never seen this man in our lives before. He's obviously going to die.
With short hair.
Right. That's too bad. Yeah.
Let's see. I was going to try and off the top of my head power rank some of the dinosaur interactions here. I really liked the water dinosaur. I thought that all the essentially this is a great white shark stuff was really cool. The boat flipping was good. There's just so many things that he does where I'm like, oh shit, you're better than 98% of the people would have done that.
And then I liked all the kind of the sailboat dinosaurs who showed up to help the big dinosaur.
Yeah.
You went to the bathroom.
I missed some of that.
And
I was
then
watching from the side.
Cool.
Running the boat into the shallows to try and outrun the Mosasaurus. Is that what it is?
Mosasaurus.
Yeah. That was cool. The bird dinosaur, I could take or leave, honestly. And in fact, I'm not a super big fan of airborne dinosaurs.
I thought the T-Rex sequence was good.
The
Yeah,
I thought
T-Rex
that was really clever.
awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was really cool.
It was sleeping in the
I'd never
raft.
seen the
Yes.
T-Rex
Yeah.
on its back before.
Yeah.
That
Right,
was a cool
yeah,
thing
yeah.
to show us. And then the raft like opening up and
Really
then
good.
hiding the dinosaur departing and then the chase through the river. I thought all of that stuff was really good. It's a good example of like Gareth Edwards has the juice when it comes to this kind of action staging, and the CGI looks really good in this movie for the most part.
Yeah.
But anytime people start talking, I'm like,
yeah,
guys, let's go back to getting eaten by dinosaurs.
Can I go back? Can I do Amanda Science Corner?
Yes,
About
please.
so like
Do we have to vamp for the music to
no,
kick in?
do you need?
Welcome to Amanda Dobbins' Science Corner.
That's like the.
It sounded like the Super
It is.
Mario.
It's like the coin world.
yeah.
That's like the only video game song that I know. So, and this is gonna like kind of be a continuation of our like the reproductive systems of mutated creatures that we don't really want to be dealing with after 28 years later.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to kind of talk about the embryo, the egg and the embryo extraction process. So what is he? So we think the embryonic fluid
I believe so.
is like has the DNA, but is also, I mean, I guess that is true that we know in humans from a testing perspective, because now they can test the
for potential
for
discrepancies
chromosomes or
in the
whatever,
DNA.
but now they mostly do that with blood. But
Well, we see in the movie-
they do.
No, I was
You don't
laughing
have
because
to
I
do-
wasn't sure whether Science Corner was supposed to ask questions or answer them.
answer.
It's a really good
okay,
question.
So it's basically he's doing amniocentesis,
Mhm.
and then so I guess it's amniotic fluid is that they're using, but that
I don't know if it is exactly the same in terms of dinosaur eggs and birth
Sure.
as it is for humans.
but you have to assume that's their model.
I think we'd assume birds would be their model.
Well,
Well, it's an egg
I guess
in
so.
a nest.
That's true. When the angry mom bird showed up, I was like, "Oh, you're in trouble."
Yeah.
Really, that was scary.
Do you relate it to her?
I did.
Yeah.
And I was like, you don't want to be like in an enclosed space with some eggs
Yep.
when the mom comes
Do you think
back.
that bird dinosaur is on your mom's WhatsApp?
Once again, we've learned that pterodons
You
can't
think
have
it
it all.
says, "Hey, mama, what are you doing with my eggs?"
Hey, mama, that unhide blanket is coming your way.
What did you guys think of the giant mutant dinosaur that dominates the opening sequence and the closing sequence of the movie?
It's pretty ugly,
Mhm.
Some marks for not having the T-Rex come in and save the day as it has in so many films.
Mhm.
I was waiting for the T-Rex to come through and fuck that guy up.
And it did teach me a lesson about maybe we shouldn't fuck with nature, because that's what you get.
You learned that lesson in 1993.
Well, apparently I haven't, because we're still here, and also I'm getting lasers on my face to try to reverse time. So yeah, I did. First, but just a laser, nothing injected yet.
You got to be careful with those lasers because they do attract dinosaurs.
Yeah,
so next time you
that's
get that
true.
laser going, we do learn that the red light. Gareth Edwards, he loves a red light, man. Remember in Godzilla, this is his thing.
The opening sequence of this movie is very much like Godzilla
Through
with
the glass.
Binoche.
This is the thing. We've seen this before, you know, with two actors I don't know, and as opposed to Juliette Binoche and Bryan Cranston giving the performance
Somewhat
of their
better.
lives in Godzilla.
Cranston's such a fucking maniac in that movie.
I like them
He's
both. They're
great.
very good.
You're so angry.
Do
I'm
you think
just
it's the 8 a.m.?
disappointed.
Do you think it was the call time?
If I brought you like a pastry.
No, it's just this movie was rushed, and you can tell, and they could have done better. Like it's just clear that they could have done better.
Why are you flaring your nostrils at me? Like I just showed up.
You owe it to the
do
people
my
to tell them
job.
the truth.
And I am telling them the truth. Is I got the fuck up. I went to see a movie and I had a pretty good time.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure
know?
some people will feel that way, but this is in a realm of a certain kind of this is representative of the circling the drain era of franchise filmmaking to me. It's not as bad as Fast X at all, and I'm not as mad as I was about that. This movie has a lot more craft in it, but it's a little insulting.
I think you're feeling the way I was feeling during Ballerina. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
I'm like mad about this and nobody else is really mad. They're just like, that wasn't very good.
Yeah.
I was probably closer to Amanda on this, but that's more just because I'm like, oh, they shot this on film, huh? You know, like,
Yeah. I'm usually I'm usually willing to forgive some of these things. I think I just
but
forgave.
it gets too close to something you like, and then it comes up short.
I was just going to say that I didn't have this problem with F1 because I hadn't quite seen a movie like that before.
Mm-hmm.
So the set piece stuff that I saw in that movie, I was like, oh man, this racing, I've never seen this in a movie before. This is incredible. So I was more willing to forgive some of the script problems. In a movie like this, I'm like, I don't know, we got 6 dinosaur movies already.
What's your version of this then? Would it be like, what's a movie that you like, this comes too close to something I already know I like and it's not good enough?
I don't know because they've just given up making movies.
Clint Eastwood westerns?
Yeah, sure, that's exactly.
Bill Rider.
Like I guess like Netflix movies,
Yeah.
you know, like
Yeah.
all of the like the romantic comedy stuff. But even then, it's like they don't spend any money on that. That shit doesn't even look good.
Yeah.
You know? So like the fact that it does look good. Respectfully, I thought the performances in this movie were like better than almost everyone except Javier Bardem in F1. But
In
that's just
Rebirth.
yeah,
We're
that's
better
just
than-
something that
it's a wild take.
I'm working on.
That's-
like
that's just a wild take.
Brad Pitt's not. Brad Pitt's like actively bad in that movie.
Yeah, but Carrie Condon's in that movie,
She's
Tobias
good.
Menzies,
Well,
Damson
sure.
Idris. Like, this movie's okay, but they're barely humans. They barely talk.
But they at least have like some sort of charisma.
Okay,
I don't know.
I'm happy for you, I guess.
This is like Siskel, Ebert, and Chris.
I
Yeah.
know. It's just like I wasn't that mad. I get mad at plenty of things, but
Do you think one thing that I thought was interesting, unless there was a cutscene that I'm not available that we missed, was that there is really no breadcrumb trail to a sequel here? I cannot imagine that Universal will let that go cold, but it's fascinating that I
Well,
can't imagine.
Dolores left the island, right?
Dolores left the
Yeah.
island and the DNA
so
left
did
the
the briefcase,
island.
Yeah.
But like,
So-
why go back to the island? I mean, like,
We may
nuke
not-
the site from orbit, you know?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the challenge of this franchise in general is like the first film is contained. The second film, they leave and get out into the wider
Right.
world. The third film, they have to go back. Then in the fourth film, they're like, we're going to redo the park because it's been 20 years and everybody forgot. And then we're going to go back to America. And then we're going to go back to the island. Like they keep ping-ponging back and forth. There's no expansion. I'm not suggesting they go to space, but there's no expansion beyond those 2 journeys. And so it just gets redundant.
Dinosaurs in space.
Could be good. You never know.
James Cameron should make that. Leave Chris Nolan alone.
That would be
I was
pretty
just
good.
like
Put a
sort of.
Tyrannosaurus on the moon.
I was
dog.
just googling like Suriname geographically to kind of understand like what the next.
The former Dutch colony, right?
Yes, but it's
Or is it still a Dutch colony?
I want to say I'm happy for Vampire Weekend for getting a needle drop in a
me too.
major
And Primal
blockbuster.
Scream.
And the Primal Scream one was shocking.
Yeah.
That's the thing is when you go down the list of this movie, you're like, Alexander Desplat did the score. John Matheson, who shot Gladiator, shot this movie. Gareth Edwards, the single greatest CGI artist working in Hollywood. So on paper,
2 Oscar winners.
yes, ScarJo and Mahershala hanging out on a boat. This all sounds so good. And, here's where I have it. So we're a Suriname. Tell us about it.
So I mean, it is in South America, the northeastern coast of South America, and I assume they were on like islands, you know. So I guess they're like headed back to continental South America, but we're not far from.
Well, they departed from Suriname, but I think they went some miles out.
Yeah, they
went
had to go to Barbados and then they were in Suriname.
So
and then they were
Barbados is north. Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We're not that far from the Caribbean. So like maybe they're in like a their own Bermuda's Triangle, but they could head back to the Caribbean, and then that would at least be contained again.
We
Those are
haven't had-
islands.
Yeah. So this is so what you're saying is this movie might be a secret Bermuda Triangle movie.
I mean, I like where
Like
we can
maybe
go
they
with that,
sail into the Bermuda Triangle.
Would
That would be
please you?
exciting. It would be
there
new.
You go.
It would be
okay,
new.
Look, see, we solved it.
It would give us a new sense of confusion that I think these films really need. I think
They go into the Bermuda Triangle, into a time portal. They show up in 1993 Costa Rica. De-aged Laura Dern, Sam Neill, and Richard
Costa
Attenborough.
Rica is far away from you got to get all the way through the Caribbean
Stick Attenborough dead.
or Caribbean.
He's dead.
You killed him.
No, I was thinking about David Attenborough still narrating.
Oh, he's still
those docs.
kicking. Yeah, they brothers.
I don't know.
Richard Attenborough passed in 2014.
Yeah,
he was 90 years old.
You think he caked up from Jurassic residuals? You think they took care of him?
No, but he directed Gandhi, so I think he's okay.
What kind of residuals do you think Gandhi's throwing off?
The film
movie?
Gandhi
Yeah.
or his family legacy, all of his investments in Great British Import. Gandhi, probably not that strong. I do believe it was recently issued in 4K.
Okay.
So there could have been some new revenue streams.
You didn't
No,
cop it?
I'm not a fan of that film.
Okay.
It's quite boring. It's an example of it's something I don't need to own. It's a short list of things I don't need to own. One of them,
You
Gandhi.
will not be
And,
buying
the
Jurassic World Rebirth
Rebirth.
4K. You will not be buying that.
We'll see.
What are you talking about?
I don't think I own any Gareth. No, I own Godzilla and Rogue One.
Okay.
Rogue One you gotta own.
Is Monsters on 4K?
Just Blu-ray, but I don't own that.
The creator?
I don't own it.
What would you like? For robots to be free?
Doesn't this feel very similar to the creator?
It felt very similar to Monsters.
Yeah, but just with a lot bigger
Better
budget
Monsters.
and more CGI.
Yeah, but he's like, I've been waiting. In some ways, he's been waiting 15 years to make this movie.
He has.
Yeah, it did feel similar to the creator where you're like, there's 5 things that happen in this movie that are some of the best stuff you'll see all year. And then there's a lot that could have been workshopped.
I don't know, man. It's a holiday weekend. I'm ready to go.
I'm happy for you. Similar moment in the creator where is it the national anthem or is it which Kid A needle drop hits in the creator where it's like John David Washington flying in a helicopter amidst utter destruction in the world and a Radiohead needle drop hits.
Everything in
And I
its
was
right
like,
place.
I watched
everything in its right place.
the
Thank you.
creator on an airplane without sound, so I didn't
You didn't get a chance to hear that.
How
Yeah.
come
Too
you
bad.
get no sound just because you were like, I want to go back to silent
No,
films?
because I was with my child, and it's honestly, and Knox was younger, so it's just like too hard to keep the thing plugged in. You know,
he's just pulling
keeps
it out?
Yeah, basically.
So these movies are an incredibly reliable box office success. And the reason why this one happened as quickly as it did is because there was a need to get a big movie on the slate for the studio this summer. Do you think that there will still be the $1 billion appetite for this so quickly after Dominion?
What's coming up next? What's the next big summer movie after this?
Superman.
Superman, yeah.
How many weeks?
Next week.
In 7 days.
I mean, we heard applause when we were walking out of an 8 a.m.
Yeah.
screening. Like, I think that this will have decent word of mouth among people who are like, I want to see dinosaurs rock and roll. And I guess cinephiles who like things shot on film. I don't know. I know that it's not been. Has it been warmly received?
No.
No,
not
the
at
reviews
all.
are very bad.
Okay.
But also Charles Holmes was in here, being like really liked it. So, and that's a historical hater. So
It's true.
Pull up the old Rotten Tomatoes for
it's
Jurassic
not
World Rebirth.
good. It did not.
It's at 53%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm curious. I mean, the box office wise, this is a very sturdy franchise. Let's just take a look at the last few. So, Jurassic World, this is just domestic, I think. Jurassic World did 652 million. Fallen Kingdom 417, Dominion 376. The original Jurassic did 357. Lost World 229, and Jurassic Park 3 181. If you had to guess, where do you think this one will land?
Below Dominion, but in the I think 300.
300. That sounds right.
Yeah, that sounds.
That sounds about.
Yeah,
It's going to do
3 to
100 million
350.
over this 5-day period for
Yeah.
sure. I don't think the word of mouth is going to be super strong. I think it'll
Clearly.
satisfy the Jurassic heads for sure, and there are a great many. So let me tell you about my experience over the weekend, because you mentioned I did get a chance to see Glenda and Elphaba at Universal Studios, which was very nice for my daughter. But we also got to experience something that I did not know existed, because I haven't been to Universal Studios in 15 years. There are animatronic dinosaurs in the park. So when you go to Universal Studios in California, you have to go down literally 4 giant escalators. So you walk all the way to the back of the park, and you go down 4 escalators. And at the back of the park, at the bottom of the park, is Dino Land, no Minions, Dino Land and Super Nintendo World. That's where all the Super Mario Brothers stuff is. In Dino Land, there are quote unquote InGen employees who are luring out life-sized animatronic dinosaurs that you can interact with. This experience was so much more cool than this stupid movie. I couldn't believe the technology with which you can interact with these actual dinosaurs. And it obviously makes sense given the nature of this kind of storytelling, but it was for once in my life to not be in a movie theater was a better experience movie wise.
100 times out of 100, I'm picking a movie theater to whatever the hell it is you just described. Like where I'm interacting.
You know
with
who would not is your
performers?
son. Your son would have his head split open by this.
He's 3, so he would just be scared.
It wasn't that scary. But
when he's 4,
he's potty trained now. So when are you taking him out?
This was
when's he ready to start fielding grounders?
Now?
This was obviously intentional marketing for this movie, which I didn't realize. But there was an employee who was walking around with a backpack that had a little dinosaur in it that
cool.
little kids
Dolores?
could like pet, and it was
Val
Dolores.
sees that, she's gonna flip out.
She did see it.
Do you have a Dolores now?
No, we saw the Dolores in the park.
Yeah. Do you
with my
have one at
daughter.
home?
No, they weren't selling it or anything like that. It was a little animatronic baby dinosaur that kids could
So it was
interact
like
with. Their minds were melting.
Copperfield alien?
Yeah, it was like that. It was just like that.
Can I tell a personal anecdote really quickly?
Yeah.
I was in Oregon over the weekend and I was on a hike. And before we started the hike, I was going to a ranger station just to go to the bathroom really quick. And as I was coming out, I really hit my head hard on like a roof eave, that was hanging over. And I'm like, fuck, that hurt. And I'm walking. And they're like, these 3 women, lovely women were like, are you okay? And I was like, oh, yeah. And they were like, are you okay? That was really hard. And I'm like, do I have blood streaming out of my head? And then they go, are you Chris Ryan? So McKenna and her 2 friends, I am alive. And thank you. They were big picture fans.
Oh, that's nice. Hi, McKenna.
Were you badly concussed?
No, I was fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a hard head. Yeah, I've hit it a lot in my life. A little clumsy.
Did it leave a bruise?
No, I don't think so.
Everything's fine.
Everything's cool. Yeah.
Is this really you? Is this not an animatronic
Why,
you?
I like the movie a little bit?
No. I'm just interrogating a little bit. I want to make sure that you're not the AI exoskeleton version of CR. You can't really rank these movies because you missed the last 2.
Well, then I can put, in my mind, Jurassic World at the bottom.
Okay. So you prefer Jurassic Park 3 to Jurassic World?
I don't really remember it, to be honest.
Okay.
I've seen it. But...
I'm gonna make you upset. I'm gonna put Jurassic World Rebirth at 4.
Ooh.
Over
all of the Jurassic, all the Pratt
Trevorrow, J.A. Bayona movies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine, but it's like 4, 5, 6, and 7 are all.
You wanted to rank them.
Okay.
Way below.
Yeah.
I honestly. Well, you said that you're going to upset me, and it doesn't upset me.
We showed up at the movies to have a nice time together, and
That's not why we showed up at the movies.
And then you were so mad at us.
I'm not mad. I'm not mad. Don't put in the newspaper that I'm mad about Jurassic World. I am mad. I'm mad.
We should just get.
I just wonder.
I deserve better.
We should get a newspaper that says I'm mad.
If you would have
hold
a
it up
meal today,
you've been the mad queen recently,
and you were like at 5:30, 6 o'clock. You were like, I'm gonna get a beer with CR and Amanda after this. I had a Coke.
It's got nothing to do with the time. I'm up at that hour every day of my life.
But you don't think about like science and Robert Kennedy and Zora Bennett that early in the morning, do you?
I think about Robert Kennedy every morning of my life because of the hellscape that we
have
entered.
Tylenol, and you're like, maybe this is the last one.
so fucked up.
No, I don't want my intelligence insulted at the movies. That's honestly how I feel. I think that just because a movie is a big blockbuster doesn't mean it has to be stupid. This movie is stupid, in my opinion.
All right.
I know that's a hard thing to respond to because there's not going to be any moving me off that stone.
That's fine.
But it's generally how I feel.
I've had reactions like that to things. I hope Celine Song directs the next one.
I'm not sure that the performances would be any better if she did. Have you gotten any feedback on your materialist love?
No, I haven't heard anything. Have you guys?
Nothing. No.
I think it's okay to just like what you like. It's a tough world out there. Yeah.
Do you think this will be nominated for Best Picture?
Name 9 movies better than it. What's the movie that Neiman talked about the other day for like 13 minutes?
Caught by the Tides.
Yeah, well, that's number 1.
Yeah.
I sent Sean a meme of 2 basketball players. One is Michael Porter Jr., who's a legendary idiot who was on the Nuggets.
Okay.
And has got a podcast where he interviews like porn stars and conspiracy theorists, and mostly is just sharing his takes. And he's like, it's a clip of him being like, I heard Homeland Security invaded Diddy's house. Why did they do that? And then the next is Cam Thomas, Cam Johnson or Cam Thomas?
Cam Johnson.
Who got traded from Michael Porter Jr.
Okay.
Giving like an amazing, beautiful answer about the ballet and physique of the jump shot and going left versus going right.
Okay.
And I said it to Sean, and I was like, this is like the difference between me and Naaman on the pod.
That's funny.
That was really good.
The MPJ
Yeah.
of the big picture.
But you're a dead-eye shooter.
I am.
Just like you shoot 40% from 3 every season, and we really appreciate that about you.
Who is your comp for Face of the Ringer?
My comp, I didn't get one.
You didn't get one?
No.
Did he get one? Did Sean?
No, it was just more, it was Joe and then I think Bill, but I can't even remember. Joe is Kyrie Irving, which
Right.
I thought
that was a good one.
controversial.
Van pointed out that she was Tatum.
I was
Interesting.
Tatum.
Because you love your son?
I get that was
That was literally
Yeah.
why.
Oh.
But I said it was because she has no swag.
okay. That's
Much like JT. JT off
You're
the board.
going to time out for the rest of the weekend.
Nope, because I am your father. I don't really have anything else on the movie.
You
Okay.
want to talk about Running Man? You want to talk about anything else?
Yeah, I mean, Running Man,
Looks good.
it looks fun.
November?
Yeah.
November 7th.
open.
Yeah, I think it will be. I'm curious if the Edgar Wright action filmmaking style is super mainstream, because this is a movie that wants to be super mainstream,
Yes.
right? And it's obviously inventive. There's a couple of moments that you can see just similar with set pieces.
Stairway thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the stairway moment, the electrified water gun that Michael Cera fires, the elevator sequence, the bomb and the grenade,
Mhm.
like all that stuff is really cool and fun. Coleman Domingo's playing it really big as the host.
Glenn Powell's playing it
Kind of what
really
you
big,
need.
too.
And so is Glenn
Right.
Powell too. And he doesn't usually play that style of like, he seems very angry. And his character seems mad in the movie, toe to toe mad with Brolin, one of the kings of mad acting.
Mhm.
So we'll see if that works. I hope it does. I like everybody involved.
I'm open to it, and I'm mixed on Wright usually, but I you know the Glenn Powell of it all.
He seems really into wearing disguises. You know, he's like,
Glenn, yeah,
he's like, I like that in Hitman. He's like, I'm going to keep doing it. That's like his running.
You think he should do that in Top Gun 3? Wearing a fake mustache and some glasses.
Did you guys
Groucho.
talk about Top Gun 3?
We haven't.
Do you believe it?
I feel like we're going to have to worry about F2 first, you know? F1, big hit. Now they're going to make another one. They get Kaczynski back in there. Kaczynski, really just a lot going on right now in your world.
I know.
Because
He's an invasive species.
there's a UFO movie.
I love him, but like he's coming for the Miami, and it's sacred
Yeah.
ground.
So,
Yeah,
so
all right.
UFO movie,
Okay.
F1 2,
Mm-hmm.
Top Gun 3,
Mm-hmm.
and a Miami Vice movie written by Dan Gilroy.
Okay.
And did you see the report that, just not Kaczynski related, but adjacent to Miami Vice, is that the script for Heat 2 has been turned in, and apparently Warner Brothers were thrilled.
Oh, good.
Yes, that is only in the realm of rumor right now, right? There's not been
Where
like
do you
any.
think I live? You know,
You do live in the world
much
of
like
you and
John
RFK.
Bernthal in the Odyssey. Rumor and gossip.
Yeah, Heat 2, you feeling good?
I just thought it was interesting that report came out.
What's the casting rumor right now?
Still
it was-
Driver, right?
It was Austin Butler Shaharlis was the one that has been the most
Okay.
forward. I think there was also like Austin Butler is going to be in the Don Winslow trilogy. He's going to star in the Don Winslow trilogy. So I think his dance card is getting very full.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who else was being kicked around. Oscar Isaac at one point, but I don't know.
When's the last time you saw Heat?
2 or 3 years ago.
Oh,
I want to
fairly
say,
recently.
yeah, I turned it on. I can't remember why, but it was somehow big picture related. I turned it on, and then Zach wandered in about 20 minutes in. It was like, "You watching Heat?" And he didn't tell me, and then just sat down.
Were you watching it because of Ferrari?
Maybe I was watching it even before, because Heat 2, the book, came out,
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to read Heat 2, but I should probably, revisit Heat first." But then I never read Heat 2 because Zach took it and then read it.
But
and
then it
now I
popped
don't know
up
where
in
it
your
is.
background. What are you talking about? It's in the bookshelf where you record your podcast.
Oh, that's in Zach's office. I
well,
borrowed
everybody
his
was like,
office,
"Holy
yeah.
shit, Heat 2 is right behind Amanda's head."
Well, that's where he took it. Okay. See, he took it in his office, and he closes that. We have to keep that door closed because
Raptors.
Oh yeah, because the Raptors figured out, and then they find all the loud toys.
Two Raptors were like, "Did you finish eat two yet?"
It's an amazing place to wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you both. Thank you for loving cinema. You really showed your love today in the face of my discontent. Let's go now to my conversation with Eva Victor. Very happy to have Eva Victor here talking about a debut movie and hopefully your life and career. When there's a first-time filmmaker, on the show, I always ask the very stupid, "Where did you come from? Why are you here? How did you get here?" question.
It's stupid potentially to you, but to me, it's a fabulous question.
Well, would you mind answering it?
I would love to answer. It's like that question makes me want to say I'm from San Francisco and then talk about movies. But so I'll do that.
Perfect.
I went to school for acting and playwriting and then moved to New York after school and was auditioning for things and then eventually started writing and started making videos online that were like 1-minute comedy videos. And then in the pandemic, everything kind of slowed down and I started watching movies to sort of escape my life, but also to sort of go deeper into my life. Something was happening. I don't totally have the words for it still, but I think I was looking for companionship in film, and it sort of let me feel a lot, but in the company of the film. So that sort of set me on a track of being like, well, what if I made my own film? And then I went away and wrote Sorry Baby and sent it to Barry and Adela and Mark at Pastel, who I'd met before. And I felt like they saw me as a filmmaker before anyone else believed in me in that way. This is obviously a podcast, but I will start to sweat because I'm in a small room and I just want you to know that I know I'm sweating. So it's not an issue for me. I just want you to know I'm ahead of it. I'm not going to fix it, but I'm ahead of it.
I'm sitting in front of bright lights and also sweating, so we can sweat together.
I would never know. Okay, cool.
I naturally don't emanate this glow. This is manufactured.
Thank you for sharing that. I feel more safe and comfortable.
Can I interrupt you for a second? Because I did read that you had this moment of relationship building to movies during the pandemic, which I think millions of people developed a deeper bond to watching things, and specifically films too. But did you have a big relationship to movies before that? Would you consider yourself a cinephile or a film fan when you were growing up?
We didn't really have TV at my house. We had a VHS player and then a DVD player, and we had like 10 DVDs and they were /VHS. We transitioned to DVD and that was like a huge moment for the family. But we started, like I watched Singing in the Rain, Swing Time, Top Hat, like Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers stuff, and then Hard Day's Night was a big one. And then I watched all of Bewitched and my mom was like, this is sexist, but really good. And I was like, not a problem. So I watched a lot of the same things over and over again, but I didn't, I feel like there's this thing that happens where people are like, well, if you want to make a movie, you have to watch The Godfather. And so I was like, okay, so I'm going to watch all the stuff that everyone says you have to watch. But then through that found the movie, like through The Godfather, through The Shining, like, which are amazing. I found the movies that I think were more my speed, like Paris, Texas, or In the Mood for Love, or, just like slow, beautiful things. But yeah, there's like, I feel like watching movies when you want to make movies starts as like a fraudulent feeling. And then I think it started with that. And then I sort of fell in love with what I was watching and it became much more heart motivated.
Can you tell me about the trying to write? Did you buy Save the Cat? Did you buy other screenplays and study them? Like, what'd you do? How'd you figure out how to do it?
I'd written one pilot once. I took a class. I really didn't like what I wrote, and we'll never talk about it. Hard line there. And then I wrote.
You just brought it up, though. What was it about?
I know. I just tried to I was just playing with fire. I can't talk about it. But it was about a part-time job I'd had that really, I thought was really funny. Okay. And maybe in like 20 years, we'll have like a hangout and I'll tell you about it. But it's actually really boring. So let's move on.
Sounds nice.
I wrote I was working on this like movie for a studio and it and that was very like 3-act structure, like sort of, but you know, Save the Cat for me has always been this, I've always been very burdened by I've always been very angry and felt very rebellious against that, because I'm like, well, it's not a checkbox, you know, thing, but I do think it's a helpful tool to check your work, but I don't think it should ever come from there. But no, I was writing this kind of 3-act structure thing that was supposed to be this big thing. And then I went away and wrote another film that was like this sort of queer horror thing, that was also a feature, but very small. And then Sorry Baby was sort of my third time writing a feature. So by the time I got to Sorry Baby, I was sort of like, rejection is my lifestyle. So I'm just going to write what I want to write. Like I just had been rejected for like 10 years, like honestly, with like acting and like I'd gotten certain things, but there's so much rejection that at some point the pain of not writing the thing I desperately want to write overtook the sort of comfort in not writing it. So Sorry Baby was sort of my fuck the world. No one wants this. Like, I'm just going to write the thing I want to write and maybe just write it to write it. But yeah, structurally it's like, I think I only could write it once I figured out how time worked and how the pieces of the film came together, because I knew I wanted it to exist over a certain amount of years and have these like threads through the years that only this one character can feel and see. And we get let into what those threads are. But yeah, the process of writing, I keep looking for like the notebook I had at that time, because I feel like I was very weird about time. It's like, you write this time, you stretch here. Like I was doing some weird stuff, but it was good. It was like time with myself.
I love that nonlinear approach that you take in the movie. And there are times when I've seen the film twice now, and seeing it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Where I know where I am in the timeline, and then there are times where I feel like I'm slipping in the timeline, and I don't always know where I am. And you don't use typical tricks of shifting to black and white or putting a sepia tone on what could be perceived as like a flashback or an earlier stage in the character's life. Can you kind of talk about how you made decisions like that and how comfortable you were leaving the viewer uncomfortable with some of those things?
Yeah, I was also feeling very like allergic to sepia toned past vibe. Like I was in the color, especially, I was like, this can't be too pretty. Like I don't want it to feel like, the only thing we really shifted color-wise in the color was like the jury scene. I really wanted it to feel like sticky hot summer, and we had shot in the winter. But that was really actually sort of mild shifts because we had so much light. We just had to make the light a different color. But yeah, I think like the structure of the film is really like flashbacks aren't actually happening. It's like we are in present day, then we go back 4 years and then work our way back to the present, skipping over the one we missed. The reason I started the film how I did was because I really wanted it to be very clear that the film is about this friendship, and these are the two characters we are falling in love with, and that the film will give you insight into. And it felt important to me that we didn't see the traumatic thing happen at the beginning, because I didn't want that to color how we were able to see Agnes. I wanted us to meet her as she is, and as we would meet her, and then go back and uncover sort of how we got to this point and why this friendship feels so deep and strong. And it's sort of the reason why the film exists is for the scene in the bathtub when Agnes is telling Liddy what happened, and Liddy holds that information so beautifully. And the film is really meant to be about these milestones in a friendship. So starting with this sort of visit with so much love and joy, but also a little mystery and discomfort about what sort of, where they come from and why they're here like this. It just felt like the natural place to start. And I mean, it's also bookended by like, Liddy comes in and makes this announcement, and then at the end of the film, we get this sort of manifestation of the announcement. It felt like the right container.
I feel like people keep asking you about balancing the tone of this movie. So I have kind of a question about that I picked up on the second time I watched it, which is when your character is with other people in the film, there is like a warmth and often sense of humor and joke. Not always, but mostly. Even in dark times in the story. And when your character is alone and contemplative, it's a completely different kind of, it feels like a different kind of a movie. It is it's like a cerebral drama, an emotional drama. I don't know if you,
cool.
Were you thinking of it in that way? That was kind of what I wanted to know. Did you see there being like a bifurcation between the tones based on what was happening with your character?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm kind of, because I've been asked the question about like humor in the film so much, I feel like I have a theory. And most of it was quite intuitive, honestly, about like when we should laugh. It just felt right at certain moments. But I think there's like laughter sometimes because Agnes is, I've been humbled to discover, quite awkward. People are saying she's awkward, and I'm like heard and humbled. And I think she's very blunt and not afraid of silence. And that is comedic because it's uncomfortable. And she is not afraid of sitting in discomfort in a group. So that, I think, is a source of comedy. I think a source of laughter that I don't think is like humor, but it is sort of is Agnes and Liddy's like joyful friendship together makes us feel a part of it. And there's sort of like this euphoric joy there. And then also there's like a more heightened humor that is sort of the writer telling you to laugh because we're pointing at someone who's doing something weird and we're allowed to make fun of that person, like the doctor, for instance. So there's like laughs in that because we are pointing the movie is being like, this guy sucks. And that is a relief and funny. I agree. Like when Agnes is alone, it's like genuinely not funny. And it's like Three Colors Blue vibes. Like it's a woman alone, like trying to make sense of the world, and her confronting the world is where humor exists because she's in such a different state than the rest of the world. And that juxtaposition is bizarre and potentially funny.
Yeah, it really struck me in the scene where you cut to yourself on the toilet and then go to start putting the thesis up on the window, which I thought was like that's a scene you maybe wouldn't find in a more conventional version of this story, where we're sitting with you for minutes, across minutes, no dialogue.
Yeah.
Trying to understand what you were thinking, how you were feeling, what decisions you're making in that, which I just thought was a very cool and interesting choice.
Thank you. Thanks. It took a lot of practicing getting the papers on the window in the same order.
It was very neat.
It was like 2 a.m. and they were like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Did you get it? I was like, yeah, I can do that. It was an interesting papers on the window. But then we cut to the cat meowing. So it's kind of like we get a little something, a little.
I want to ask you an independent film question.
God, here we go.
Did you have to go and like sell the movie to financiers?
Yes.
Well, can you talk about that experience?
Well, luckily my producers are very, very smart and didn't send me to, like, they're very thoughtful and smart and have a lot of wonderful financiers that they've worked with before. So I did very deliberate meetings. It's really interesting. It was my first time having to explain the movie in a way that felt digestible. I was very stressed out because I'd never really done like a pitch meeting, anything like that, where I had to display my personality in a way that was nice and that people and palatable. So that was interesting. It was also like I made a specific lookbook sort of pitch deck or something for the financier meetings that we sent the script with. And that piece was interesting because I had my own private lookbook, which was like Double Life of Veronique and like things that everyone was like, we don't understand why this is your reference. And I'm like, I swear, like there's something. And this was a lookbook that was like Juno, Fargo, like some Claire Denis, but like Let the Sun Shine in Claire Denis. Like it was very, it was much more commercial, and the thing, it's hard to explain something before you do it. Like I was kind of making a case for, I want it to be a beautiful film that feels like an art house film and also is funny, and having to be like Juno plus Margaret, Kenneth Lonergan, I swear, like there's something that will work. And people are just, we luckily got people who sort of didn't really bat an eye at me wanting to be in it, and asked really good questions about why I wanted to direct it. And it was a really new journey. I mean, every part of making this film has been like totally new. I'm like, oh, we do this next, like completely shocking. But no, it was an interesting experience for sure.
Related to that, did you anticipate writing such a personal piece and then having to like basically sell it through the entirety of its lifespan, going into movie theaters and having to talk about this thing? That must be very strange.
No, I didn't know. I didn't really know it would happen like this. I think it's good I didn't know. And the one thing that lets me sort of sleep at night, if you will, is that I did make the movie I wanted to make. So that allows me to feel really glad that this is a movie that people are going to get to see. But no, it's a really, I mean, directing and acting and writing the film means that most of the press you do is by yourself, which is, I didn't think of. And when I have Naomi and Lucas around me, I find it to be much easier. But I mean, this is going really well though, so I don't mean this. I mean,
I don't feel indicted.
Like, it's a really interesting thing. I think there's a lot of curiosity around what parts are my life and what parts aren't. And, you know, the dream is you sort of get to make a film, put it out, then people talk about it how they want to talk about it, and you sort of never appear anywhere. Like you just get to sort of release it and then let people take what they want. But that's not the realistic thing of wanting people to also see the movie. Like I want people to feel invited to see the film. So it's a journey though. Press is interesting.
Yeah, I talk to a lot of directors on the show, and a lot of times they'll be like, this is a deeply personal work for me, but it's about like aliens and like a war in space. And there's so much like allegory and metaphor that people like the press is trying to unpack about a project. But when the movie is like almost being marketed to you as like a very personal story, an intimate story, then invariably, like, I'm sure you have to find yourself kind of constantly confronting people asking you things you don't want to talk about all day, every day, which I find that like just a bit strange, but it must be 1,000 times more strange for you.
It is strange. I mean, it's also like, well, we're just meeting and you're asking me that, but am I asking you that? Like, damn.
Yeah.
But I think it's filmmakers find, like, I look around and I realize that people have found very creative ways to hide themselves in their films. And I had like this one really smart filmmaker tell me once, like, I just swapped the gender and no one ever asked me anything. And I'm like, haha, that's too funny. But yeah, it is like kind of draining to talk about. But I do love the film, and I love talking about the film, and I like when it can get kind of filmmakery. Like I like to nerd out a bit with like why I did certain things. Like there's versions of it that are really joyful of talking about the film. And also, you know, people are writing about the film because they feel moved by it. So it's like, well, that's not so bad. Like people want to talk to me because they want to ask questions, and that is inherently like a beautiful idea. So
I was thinking about this recently because I have a friend who published a memoir a few years ago about a very specific, complicated event in their life. And then he is just now publishing his first novel. And he was using it as like a way to figure out almost like how to write a book.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that in regards to you too. And sort of like, do you see yourself kind of permanently as a filmmaker? Like, is this your vocation now? Was this just the right thing for the right time in your life? How do you see in the aftermath of Sorry Baby?
I mean, you're going to have to pry it out of my cold, dead hands if you want to take away making films from me, because I'm addicted and I'm obsessed, and I don't even know like what that even means. But I feel so excited about what could happen next. And I think making this film as my first film is completely right. And it feels really like cosmic in a few ways. And also, I do look forward to the sort of like, it's a very personal film and it being like an alien film, like you said. Like I look forward to seeing how to move through through personal to a different energy of film. But knowing how much work it takes to make a movie now, it really has to be like, you have to be completely obsessed with what you're working on. And I look forward to feeling obsessed like that again. And there's this weird grief of making the movie is over. And I'm like, well, fuck, that was cool. I'd love to make a movie again because that was like way too cool to be real. I can't even believe it's a real job. It's almost like funny how awesome it is.
Have you already started doing whatever would come next?
I don't know. How do you? No, listen, I feel quite exposed. Like I am sharing this thing and it's being released from me and given to others, to judges they please. And when I was writing this film, I feel like I was banging on a box of like, let me out. Like, is anyone listening? And now all I want is my box again. So it's a bit of a like Sisyphus thing of like, I want what I don't have. I want the privacy of writing and no one knowing and the secrecy of crafting something alone, which is when I was doing that, all I wanted was to just make something in community. So I miss the thing and I'm excited to go back to my private zone.
What about the sort of, it sounded like the feeling of motivation you were getting after being told no all those times in the lead up to writing this movie, like that's over now, at least for now. Like you won prizes for this movie. You know, this is an acclaimed debut feature film. So can you
won prizes for this movie. I won a big teddy bear for the movie. That's true. That's true.
More than that. More than that.
True.
But do you think about how do I conjure the requisite motivation to be underestimated and to show them just the true nature of my creativity?
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really felt like any sort of arrival at anything. There's so much to say in the world that I feel like I just got to say a little thing. And it's like, well, if you want to hear more, I have a lot to say. But no, I think no one knows who I am. I made a very small film. It's coming out the same weekend as F1. Like I do understand, like I don't, there's no like, like my mom's going to be mad by how much I'm saying like. You'll cut them all out, right?
No.
You won't. Okay. Then I'll work on it privately right now. I'll censor.
Please don't censor.
It's a weird thing. I don't understand who the film is reaching. I get a sense of it when I'm at a screening, but no, I also think people sometimes want you to make the thing they've seen you make. Like, make comedy videos. No one wanted me to make a movie. They were like, we don't want to do that. We want you to make like a version of comedy videos that makes everyone more money. Not, my people, but people I'd meet with. And it sort of making another movie is about kind of starting from scratch and making the kind of movie you haven't made yet. It's almost like doing a whole new thing. You understand some things about making a film, but other things, because it's a different film, are completely new. And it's almost like you have to make your first film again. And so it never feels like I haven't felt like any sort of arrival or like understanding of how to do this. It doesn't feel easy or anything.
Do you feel like any pressure to capitalize this and make more money? That's something I'm always interested in with independent filmmakers. Like, do I have to scrape and claw? So many filmmakers that are in the position that you're in at this exact moment would like, at least in the last 10 years, like take a Jurassic Park movie. You know what I mean? And just be like, yeah,
Right.
I'm porting over my Sundance success to join a huge franchise. I'm not suggesting you're going to do that, but I think a lot of times that's informed by I was broke till I was 37 and now I need to like buy a house if I want to have a family, that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Totally. It's weird how money works. It's weird how you can make a film like this and it takes, 5 years every day of your life. And then you do something for one day and it makes like 5 times as much. Like it's very interesting.
Are you a professional assassin or something? What's that other thing you're referring to?
You can kill someone and more money than that. No, like seriously sounding totally scary as I'm saying that. No, I think although I would love to, I feel a bit spoiled in a way that, like, honestly, my film it was bought at Sundance for, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say the amount, but like much more than it was made for. And that's very rare. And, I was on a TV show a few years ago, and that has been carrying me through, like the money I made on that has been carrying me through making this film. And
you're good on that TV show. I watched that TV show, Billions. Yeah, that was good.
Thank you. Yeah. I was a genius on the show. And
I remember.
had to look up every word I said before the table because I didn't know what anything meant. And then I one time watched a video of someone doing like doing day trading to just see how their fingers moved on the computer. Like I seriously can't believe I got that part. Bless up.
I bought it. It worked.
Thank you. But yeah, I think I feel kind of spoiled that I got to make something in a very uncompromised way. And I got to do that because I was on like a big TV show and could spend those years making it the way I wanted to and didn't have to like trade vision for money. And I feel wary of, I don't want to do something I don't love, but life is, expensive. So I have questions about that.
So you will continue to kill is what you're saying.
I will kill and I will be in Jurassic Park once they invite me and direct it and write it.
It sounds great. I look forward to that.
So bad. I actually cannot fathom that. But they have one out now. And so that is probably the one that they should have made because they did. I watched Jurassic Park recently, the first one, and I was like, this is a really good movie with the like the orb, the golden amber stuff. I was like, I get this. This is cool.
It's fantastic.
I get why people like this.
Yeah, the first one is great. Everything after that, debatable.
I don't know because I have not seen it yet, but I will due to what we're talking about.
You have a lot of research to do before you get that gig. I wish you well. Eva, we end every episode of this show by asking filmmakers.
It's over?
It's about to be. Well, I mean, if you want to keep going, we can, but I feel like I'm boring you. I'm getting you into like metatextual questions now, and you're like, gotta think about them and think about your life.
Okay. All good. I'm happy.
We do end every episode of this show by asking filmmakers what's the last great thing they have seen. And it does seem like you watch a lot of movies.
I might need my phone. Oh.
Are you going to Letterboxd? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Great. Love it.
Okay.
No, I fucking love Letterboxd.
Well, I don't know if I want to say that.
Say what?
Okay, I'll say this. Like 2 days ago, I saw 28 Years Later in the theater. It's so motherfucking good. And I cried in a way that I have not cried at a movie since Twisters. And that actually made me cry a lot. And that movie is so good. Jodie Comer is so good. And I think it's Aaron Taylor Johnson, I want to say.
That's correct.
Best work to date. And he's very good in it. And I was very moved by the story. and many of the visuals. And I liked the score. I thought it was sick. And I liked that they weren't apologetic. Oh, Sinners too. Okay, since Sinners. I didn't cry at Sinners, but I felt a lot of stuff. So I guess that's all I have to say.
Those are my two favorite movies of the year. So good on you.
They're so good.
Yeah, they're both so good.
Mine.
And yours. Yes.
Sorry,
well, I
baby.
wasn't going to say that to your face.
Right. Well, don't mind it. I will definitely pry and ask if it is.
No, it is. It is.
I mean, honestly, Sinners got me good. And I didn't even know anything going into it, which was cool.
It's the best way to see it.
Oh, and basically everything.
You're a person of taste. I want to say...
You think? Because I said 28 Years Later and Sinners, which are the two top movies of the whole entire year.
Well, the truth is the truth. That's how I feel about these things.
I agree with the people.
Yeah,
with the people.
The people are right, and you're right. Congratulations on your first film. I think it's really good, and I can't wait to see what you do next.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was so nice.
Thanks to Eva Victor. Thanks to CR. Thanks to our producer, Jack Sanders, for his work on this episode. We'll see you later this week for a very patriotic episode of 25 for 25. Number 16 should be fun. We'll see you then.